I'm Manoel Neto, CTO at Kokku. I've been working with games for 22 years now, working on a lot of different platforms, titles, ranging from console, PC, mobile. Although I'm a CTO at Kokku, my work is not that of a typical CTO. I work directly with developers, assisting them on figuring out what kind of solutions they can apply to the problems they're facing on their projects. Many developers use Unity for their mobile games, usually because that's what they're used to use, what they've been working with for years. But the number of Unreal games on mobile has been increasing over the years. And people ask, why should you use Unreal on mobile instead of Unity or a different engine? It depends on the kind of game you're working on. If your game is aiming for simple graphics, or you want a game to run on the maximum amount of device possible, so you're probably using simple 3D graphics or 2D graphics, Unity is probably a better choice for you because of its maturity in that market. But if your game has one of these features, like online multiplayer, you're aiming for cross-platform, targeting PC and consoles, you're aiming for large streaming worlds, open worlds where the player can go anywhere and you need to bring data in and out of memory, and you're aiming for higher fidelity, which a lot of games are doing right now, then maybe Unreal is going to work better for you. Unreal has tools that allow you to scale your game all the way from mobile to high-end PCs. You can target different devices with different quality settings. You can generate models with different levels of details automatically inside the engine. You can also tailor your materials so they have different qualities and do different things on different platforms. And you can do all this in a single project that can build for all the target platforms. Unreal has development tools that help you in making multiplayer games. In Unreal, multiplayer is a first-class feature. It's part of the engine architecture, not an add-on or plugin. So features like replication and interpolation are all part of the engine itself. There are tools that allow you to do things like record multiplayer sessions so you can replay them later to debug problems, and also to visualize how different objects are being replicated across the network. In Unreal, there are tools that allow you to audit your assets and quickly find assets that need optimization. You can find textures that have too large of a resolution or models that have too many polygons. And you can configure these textures and models to target different platforms as well. For example, you can have the same texture use a high resolution on high-end PC and low resolution on mobile devices. For games that use large open worlds, Unreal has several tools to assist with development. For example, world composition allows you to edit and run large worlds that can be composed of little parts that can be added individually and separately. So you don't have to load everything at once on your computer. It allows other developers to work on different parts of the world at the same time. There are also features like hierarchical level of detail, which allow distant objects to be grouped together into a single model to save memory and draw calls. This is done automatically by the engine, so if you change the position of objects, you can just regenerate those meshes. One feature that's often overlooked in Unreal is the ability to access and modify the source code. This can be scary for many developers, especially those that don't have experience with C++. But it brings lots of advantages. For example, on mobile games, usually you have games that are live service games, so they last for several years. Apple and Google require a game to update the latest SDKs regularly, usually once a year. And with Unity, which is a closed-source engine, the only way to get these updates is to update to a new version of the engine. This can often be a stressful situation for developers, because a new version of the engine might bring new bugs that are unknown ahead of time. With Unreal, you can bring changes for new SDKs and even bug fixes from newer versions of the engine to your source code, limiting the changes to the source code and the impact on your game. Basically, it's more about knowing how your game is behaving and having control over crashes and these updates. This way you can control the number of changes brought to your game and prevent unexpected bugs from showing up. The games on the market right now that are using Unreal on mobile all have visuals that are matching or even exceeding what you see on PC and console. Often it's hard to tell if that's a mobile game or not. Using Unreal mobile has its own set of challenges. It can be difficult for new developers, but the results are worth it.